chop it up later. Hey!
Good
False
morning.
start. We are back. Good morning. We're here for some competitive rules enforcement legacy, playing for a volcanic island. I'm Jim Dowling. I'm joined by Tim Worcester. You're not the tournament organizer. Why have I got that there? Have you
I'm
got any
not.
socials you want linked?
Not particularly.
The first round's always a bit of a hodgepodge when it comes to
I'll link your socials. Does that help?
Mine's already there. We're here in sunny Melbourne, Victoria, Australia.
And
live
it
on-
is sunny today too.
It is very sunny.
What
It's
a
quite a warm
concept.
day. 31 degrees Celsius today, so going to be
This
a
jacket is
warm
coming
day.
off. This is purely for the stream, guys. So
Look, the shirt's going to stay on, though. I assure you of that.
both our shirts will stay on. So 27 powerful wizards today. A volcanic island is up. Been a
Yeah.
little while since we played for one of those.
Yeah, I mean, they're expensive, right?
I want to say they're about 1,000 AUD.
1,000
For a nice
bucks. Yeah, look, TCG Player says $900 give or take.
American.
American, so
Yeah.
lots of stuff. Gee
Four
whiz.
figures up today, Jimbo.
What do we reckon the metagame's going to be?
So, as we discussed when you couldn't hear us, apologies to the chat, I see a fair few grindy, delver, spiky types in the room. A couple of Eternal players that aren't necessarily Legacy players will probably lean on their abilities to brainstorm and ponder well. There might be a little depth action. We might
Dark
see
depths,
what's
okay.
going on with the blue control decks, whether
Sure.
it's Miracles or 18 colour control, a bunch of Teferis. Insofar as the blue decks haven't quite figured out what they're doing as far as sideboards, so we'll see what the unfair decks can get away with.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely going to be a different format from the last time we cast.
Thank
Last time I
God.
cast was it was over Christmas. There's only been one ban list, but it was a big ban list update, that one that happened.
And a necessary one. It has been a little while since Wasteland's been good, for example, and as a
Yeah.
Lance player I can show you it's nice to be able to beat 4 colour control again.
Astrolabe, hey?
Yeah, interesting. I think very important pillar of the format is Wasteland, and has sort of just been bad for 2 years.
Very true. Yeah, I mean, Wasteland, Force of Will, these are cards that just define Legacy. You know, you don't get to play them in other formats. I mean, Vintage, Highlander, Commander, all that sort of thing. But
That's right.
when it comes to the real competitive, you know, hundreds of players online sort of thing, Force of Will and Wasteland define Legacy.
You need these cards. If these cards aren't playable, the format is broken. We could, of course, talk about Brainstorm, the most broken of all cards. However, that one gets a pass. You're never allowed to ban Brainstorm in Legacy.
Yeah, apparently not. What else changed since the last time we cast? Dreadhorde Arcanist and Oko both went down, right?
That's right. Round about time we got rid of Oko. I don't think he was necessarily too good, but he was very dull. And he did make a lot of decks that sort of want to put Gristlebound into play at Sorcery Seed. Well, that's the nice elk you have there.
Yeah, it very much made games samey. There was no variation. Like, in the eyes of Oko, all is elks.
It's all elks.
And
And the pattern of +2, +1 again means you now control the game.
yeah, great. I mean, and it didn't win quickly as well.
No,
It wasn't
was
like
a bit
this
grindy.
this haymaker that came down and you know ended the game in 2 turns. Like, the game was over, it just wasn't over.
Yeah,
Which
sort of
didn't
like
make
when
for good
you
viewing.
should scoop it up, but like you technically have outs.
Yeah,
so
that's right. We're waiting to hear what our round 1 feature match is looking like. We've got 27 players today.
27.
A nice mix of experienced sort of you know, staple players in the Melbourne scene. We've got Graham King, we've got Isaac Egan, Sean Brown. We've got, geez, a laundry
24
list.
other ones.
That's right.
It looks like a mix of 20 or so legacy regulars, a few new faces, which is lovely to see,
Yeah,
and then a few Highlander players that want to win a Volk.
that's right. I mean,
And we'll probably do fairly well at that.
yeah, look, it's... What would you be playing if you're playing today?
I would be playing lands.
Lands?
But that's because I love lands.
Yeah, you're boring.
Hey. So I assume there may be one lands player in the room.
Okay.
Who's assumedly better than I am, so I could learn something.
You know what they say, those who do play and those that don't, who can't commentate, you know?
Yes.
What do you do if you can't commentate?
Watch.
All right.
Epic
all right.
Hockey. Twitch.tv.
Good place
Check
to
us
do
out.
it. We're here at Temple Arden,
Temple Arden.
Maze
which I
of
think-
Fitzroy, Tabernacle Games. They're all sort of
cluster.
under one umbrella. They're lovely lads. They run a lovely online card store. If you need singles and you're in Australia or want to pay shipping, I guess, check them out.
Fresh coffee.
Oh, the coffee
Fresh
here's
coffee.
pretty good.
I know. The
Big
first
fan
time
of
here,
coffee here.
walk in, that big coffee hit.
I mean,
Gets you up in the morning.
I don't personally drink coffee, but I've had wonderful feedback from everyone that I brought here. My staff, my crew that come along, they just come in. The first thing they do is coffee.
Yeah, I
Maybe
had
that's-
mine before I left, but I'm gonna have to try some later on.
Maybe it's because I'm getting here too early in the morning.
What time were you here, Jimbo?
Look, doors opened at 9. I was on the road at 8:30, but I only made it here at about 9:45. So
That sounds about right.
got here reasonably late, all things considered.
We got the stream up in time, though. We're happy.
That's right. I can hear stuff happening out in the main room.
Yes.
I think we're going to be hopefully finding some action soon. Just waiting to find out what our feature match is going to be.
Now, do they have a choice to be featured or not, Jimbo? How does the feature match work?
Look, everyone can always opt out. You know, we pick a table based on the interesting matchup, the personalities, the storyline, players' records, that sort of thing. We say, look, we'd like you to be on the feature. If you don't want to be featured, say,
Okay.
right now, no thank you, I don't want to be on camera. And of course, players can come up before the event as well. There's at least one player in the room that comes up to me whenever I'm on coverage and says, please don't put
No,
me on
thank you.
camera. So
As
that's
is
fine.
his or her choice.
That's exactly it, yeah. Alright, we're going to take a quick break here as we go and investigate why we don't have players sitting at our table yet. But we'll be back really shortly. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you all soon. We are back.
We are live.
Okay, so we have. Oh man, I think actually the text to speech was picking up all of our text while we were offline.
Oh.
Yeah.
What a
So if
shame.
you're watching with closed captions, you got a peek behind the curtains there.
We have closed captions on Twitch.
Um,
Fantastic.
Look, we try to, but
It doesn't always work.
The website's not the best.
It is free closed captions, I suppose.
That's right.
You do what you can.
All right, we are here with two pillars of the legacy format. We
Two
have
legacy staples. Playing legacy staples.
That's
so-
right. There's things that are inevitable in life: death, taxes, Jack Jiggens, Graham King, brainstorms in legacy.
All in that order. So, I believe Graham is usually on food chain, but I have heard murmurs that perhaps that isn't the case today.
Yeah, Graham King loves his food chain in legacy, but he also owns legacy.
Yes, the entire format actually.
I've seen Graham playing elves. I've seen Graham playing lands. I've seen Graham playing what's that deck with the lands that tap for like 12?
High Tide?
I have seen him play High Tide, but
Okay.
I was actually thinking of 12 Post, Cloud Post,
12
Glimmer
Post.
Post stuff.
Stuff. Big green things and expensive artifacts.
So Graham could really be on absolutely anything here. We'll have to
Which
wait
is
and
always
see
nice.
how it pans out.
Graham owns all the decks, so could be on all the decks.
The Chad food chain player versus the Thalia waifu matchup. That's it.
It'd be interesting to see if actually Jack is indeed on D&T. I have my suspicions. He has been dabbling with Doomsday recently,
Okay.
as well as good old just control decks.
Sure.
I think I see a Terminus there. This could be Miracles.
Well,
The format is healing, Jimbo. Miracles is back in the room.
if it is Miracles, that's the sort of deck that we find out about it extremely early. And here we see
Basic Mountain Jimbo. What is he doing?
is Graham going to be casting some lava spikes?
That is a Goblin Pile Driver.
That is not some lava spikes.
That
Oh,
is
boy.
not what I expected Graham to be on. I'm sure he owns it though, why not?
So we can, I guess, fill this in here with
I'm
some
going to
amount
assume
of
this is
goblins.
Goblins.
Yeah,
yes.
I
Good
mean,
old...
this
Ooh, actually, how about Food Chain Goblins?
food chain goblins.
He's usually on
Alright.
Food Chain, that's a Goblin. I wouldn't be surprised.
I mean, there is, some goblins that could see play in other decks.
Yes.
But Goblin Pile Driver, it's...
Tends to be in something with a lot of goblins.
That's right, it
He
tends to
scales
be
with goblins.
one trick pony,
Jack with the Brainstorm. I think this is main phase? I hope it's main phase, otherwise I disagree with that Brainstorm, Jack.
I mean, you don't want to be the sort of person pulling off an end of turn brainstorm, right? Especially not on the end of turn 1.
No. Unless you're a combo player, in which case you may just have them dead.
That's very true.
Which is always nice.
That's
very
very true.
polarized range. If a quality player is brainstorming end step, you go. Otherwise, you're thinking, okay, I'm in the right spot here.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, it's sort of. I guess there's some sort of bell curve where
Yes.
you start to play Legacy and you're like, I'm going to fire off my brainstorm as fast as I can, and we see a Terminus
We
here.
see a Terminus after a Force of Will on a Goblin Ringleader, I believe.
That is a ringleader. Yep. Ancient Tomb, Badlands.
Ancient Tomb. Interesting. This could be food chain. This is Munitions Expert, I believe.
That is a munitions
Flash
expert.
shoots down guys. No targets legal at this time.
I don't believe it can shoot itself either. That's
I would hope not, otherwise that's not gone particularly well. This is Mux's Goblin Grandee.
Oh boy.
This
So
makes the deck good.
we'll see if we can get Muxus up on the screen, just for anyone who hasn't kept up with Legacy as of late. I'm also going to check if we can get players using some sort of visible life thingy that I can see. That would be great. Alright, we've got Muxus
There's
on the
a
screen.
whirlwind of action here. Muxus, Teferi, Bouncy of Muxus, Munitions Expert, Kill Your Teferi,
Yeah, we're-
Goblin Matron. Get in there, boys.
I'm about 10 turns behind here on updating things on the screen, but at the moment I'm just seeing if players can get a life total going, so that I can get a life total going. I'm sure that they're keeping track with their pen and paper and whatever's required of them, but when you're playing on the camera and I don't have someone sitting at the table with you, sometimes I've
The
got
life flags.
tougher requirements than that.
So, arguably the best Planeswalker Magic history on the board now. Although he is more than 10 years old now, Jason.
Really?
No kidding, right?
Wow.
He seems to have stuck.
Planeswalkers are ancient.
Yeah. We've got old Planeswalkers now, Jimbo. What a concept.
Alright, I've got 14 for Graham. I am not certain on Jack's life total. It could be 9, it could be 6.
I'm not sure if he's been hit with the Goblin yet. It may just be
I
a
think
couple
the
of
munitions
fetch lands.
expert got in at least once. I'm not sure where it was going.
16, Jig was 14.
Graham,
16, Jig 14. And that's prior to that fetch?
there was probably an ancient tomb of some sort. We'll get it
Oh,
clarified in
ancient
the near
tomb, yeah.
future. And see what
This
we
is
can
6
do.
mana.
That was a Muxus that got
Muxus, it's a Force of
swiftly
Will.
counted.
Get in there.
Yeah, Jig still doesn't have it on screen. Graham's is very visible, but Jig's is not.
As would want to be the case.
So Jace the Mind Sculptor, we'll see if we can pull that card up. If you're a fan of Legacy, you've almost certainly seen this card around
This is the guy.
in some capacity.
It's been a little while since I've seen one.
Yeah, I mean,
it does cost 4, which is a lot more than it used to be. Speaking of undercosted cards, here is Uro, Titan of Nature's Wrath.
Titan of
Trigger.
16.
banning formats and that sort of thing.
I don't know if it's too good for Legacy. It's kind of dull too, though. It's like
It's
Oko,
dull.
but a creature.
It's dull, but I mean, it's very easy to answer.
That's true.
Across multiple different formats, if you play graveyard removal,
Sometimes you do incidentally kill it by accident. If you have the ley lines, if you have the surgicals, it turns them on.
Look, I'm
That
not going
is-
to lie, I don't know that one.
That is... Oh, what's his name?
Is that Crater Maker?
That is Crater Maker. Thank you very much, Jimbo.
Jeez.
Hoping to exile some Emeralds today. Never mind, they all get in just the same. Whack,
Yeah, I mean,
says Graham. I would assume Jace is going to die here, unless Graham thinks he can finish Jiggens off.
I'm gonna...
Mystic Sanctuary.
Oh.
Oh no. Oh, this is dirty. Jiggens, please. So Mystic Sanctuary, interesting card. I think banned in Pauper now. Is that right? And you can see why.
Look, everything is banned in Pauper, I'm pretty sure.
Banned or was never legal. This one's actually a common though.
Jace the Mind Sculptor, banned in Pauper.
That seems reasonable.
I don't know, actually, because you get to play Brainstorms and Dazes
Also a
and,
common, that's right.
and all
So-
of that sort of thing.
For those of you playing at home, you can fetch the Mystic Sanctuary. It does have the island super type.
It's
or
fetchable.
type, which then puts the Terminus on top, which then does that. Good old 4 for 1 there. Jiggens hangs in there. And Jace hangs in there, more importantly. How many times do you brainstorm before you've just won the game? We'll find out.
We shift Jig to using D6s. The small D20 is just not applicable. Trying our best here. Round 1 of coverage is always going to be a little bit shaky. You know, we are working in a new venue, new lighting. Oh, this venue is lovely.
This
you walk
is
in.
plush surrounds, Jim.
It's a board game cafe. There's a coffee machine.
It's very lively.
It is.
Very up, very now, very in.
Yeah. It's got some mood lighting, which is unfortunately the issue that the mood lighting doesn't pertain well to doing.
Sometimes a bit glary.
That's right. Doing some coverage is a bit awkward at times, but we've managed to make something work here. We're
There's
trying.
one thing that you can always count on is that Magic players can see in the dark. We do a lot of that.
Yes, Magic players. I, for one, live with the lights off. Was that a Krenko mob boss on top of the library? Also, that was expert showing from Graham there.
What did I miss?
So, Jason Mind Sculptor looked at the top card of Graham's library.
Oh.
And Graham managed to show it to Jack Jiggens and the camera.
Ooh.
That was impressive.
Ooh, he's done this before.
There's a portent coming down here as well. A little bit of a Ponder U action.
Yeah, a bit of a throwback, this one. The sort of slow trip Ponder that hits your opponent. Neat little card.
It's
functioning as Ponder most of the time.
I mean, some would argue that in Miracles it's actually better because you get to set it up and draw your card on the opponent's turn.
You are correct. Terminus in their upkeep.
And that's a paddle.
So I think this is over. I think Graham has realised, you've got Uro going, Jace is still in play, and I'm tapping some mountains to play some Goblins. This is about as good as it gets.
That's exactly it, yeah. Once
and it didn't get good.
We'll pop back into the booth here. Once once the Jace is ticking up safely, once that Terminus was cast on the 4 Goblins to reset the board
Card
and
advantage.
stabilise. I'm not sure how many cards were in Graham's hand at the end of that game there, but unless you're looking at a group of 5 or 6, you're going to fall behind with
you
the
have
Uro
less
and
cards in
Jace.
hand than Jiggens does, which is not where you want to be in life.
Exactly. I mean, Jace and Uro, they are slow. They don't win quickly. And you'll notice that these Miracle pilots need to take their game actions quickly in order to actually end the game of Magic. If they're sitting there and thinking about every single counterspell, every single cantrip, every single game action, every single Jace tick up, look at your opponent's card, you're just going to run out of time.
It's not as bad as it used to be. You don't have to spin top every single phase anymore. That was a good time.
Gross.
What you should have done in those times, you show up to the tournament with Cloud Post.
Okay.
You intentionally draw the first round.
Sure.
So that you only play against Miracles the rest of the day. Fantastic matchup.
Cute.
I've never done this, but I assume it's possible.
I'm Jim Dowling, this is Tim Worcester. We're here at Temple Arden for Tabernacle Games, running some paper legacy with a volcanic island
With a
for
volcanic
first.
island.
That's
there may
pretty
be
big
some other
prize.
prizes as well, I believe. I don't think we're too top heavy
Yeah,
today.
the other prizes were based on turnout, but we have 20, I think it was 28 players at the end of the day.
28 a lot better than 27, no buys going around.
That's right. And, the volcanic for first and prizes based on turnout basically meant if there was 10 players, it was just a volcanic. But at 28, I'm assuming that there's something else. We'll just have to wait and see exactly what that is. We'll head back down to the table now. Looks like the players are shuffling up. They've done their sideboarding, and we'll see. What are we expecting to see change in the sideboarding out of Goblins versus Miracles?
My Goblin sideboard knowledge is not great. I think they tend to be on leyline-y, ensnaring bridgey sometimes stuff.
Okay. Ensnaring Bridge, is that implying some sort of combo finish? Muxus, Kiki Jiki?
I think. I mean, this still may be Food Chain Goblins. And to that extent, that's how you'd win, I
Very
guess.
true. I mean, look, we saw... What did we see? We saw Ancient Tomb Badlands, 4 mountains or so.
There was a lot of basic mountains, you're
Yeah,
right.
we didn't see fetch lands. I think that would be the key, that we would see fetch lands if we were looking at Food Chain.
We have seen a Badlands as well. Bloodstained Mire, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just good old Goblins.
I mean, Badlands, very key for casting Munitions Expert,
That's
and
right.
if there is a simple splash in the deck, Munitions Expert is the way to go, and if you've got the combo finish, you need the Sling Gang Lieutenant. But we'll have to wait and see. What about Miracles? What are you expecting to see from Miracles?
So I know a little more about Miracles sideboards, even though no one's quite figured them out as yet. It is still a fresh format. I'd expect to see a couple Surgicals, no more than 2 copies of any card,
Sure.
and hoping to just bring in what you have for goblins.
Yeah,
I'm guessing
okay.
it's probably 3 Terminus in the main, and they'll stay there. And
Maybe-
you just try and brainstorm and ponder well.
Do you think there might be another removal spell on the sideboard? I don't know how many Swords to Plowshares are running around at the moment.
I would assume there's 4 in the main, but you might be right. You're looking for cards that give you value, I'd expect. So Terminus, obviously, you're not bringing it in because it's already in the main, fantastic. You are looking to eventually not die, and then live, and then your opponent concedes.
Sounds like a game plan.
That didn't really help you very much, did it, Jimbo? The question, what do you think about these sideboards? I think
If only the players had submitted deck lists, they have. But start of round 1, our technology is not finished with regard to getting all of the information at our fingertips. We will definitely have them at some point during the day. Hopefully for round 2, definitely for round 3.
that would be nice. So I think this is a double mulligan here, unless Jiggens is still shuffling from the first. I did see Graham show us 7 cards that all seem to be red, none of which made any mana. So he's going for 6, I believe.
I saw Jiggens change a sleeve. I don't know what that means.
He may have split a sleeve, Jimbo.
Very possible. Very possible. I know that, in this expensive format, sometimes players do borrow cards as well. There has definitely been times in the past where people have gone to tournaments and thought that they had all their cards in the same sleeves, and one's ended up in a slightly different sleeve as they borrowed it from somebody else.
That's an awkward judge call.
Yeah.
Judge, my opponent has mismatched sleeves? What do we do?
I mean, I've got the epitome, the pinnacle story of down that path. I've worked at a lot of local game stores through my time, and the first one I worked at, this was back in 2012, I want to say. Geez, that was a long time ago. And we had a very casual player come in, plays on the kitchen table a lot. Looks like Graham's definitely on a 6, and
Jiggens
Jiggens
is presenting, I believe.
And player comes in, sits down for F&M. He's playing this green-white deck. He's got his green cards in green sleeves,
Oh no.
and his white cards are in white sleeves.
Oh no. Judge, my opponent has 2 libraries?
And no, I mean they were shuffled together, but he'd never played.
Marked cards, I assume, is the ruling there?
He'd never played outside of the kitchen table playing with friends. He'd never considered that. Oh, I can gain advantage from this. This is it. He wanted his cards in the right sleeves.
Good old honest Magic player. Here we see.
Honest
the
Magic
turn 1.
on the
Uncountable
screen.
Goblin Lackey.
It's about as honest as it gets, right? Just play my land, play my 1/1.
And here's play my land, kill your 1/1. Still works the same as it did 25 years ago. Oh, speaking of 1/1s, another 1/1.
That's the wrong artwork for Goblin Lackey. Let me get that one fixed out here.
Can assure it still functions the same.
Nah, shoutouts to Scryfall though. Such an easy and clean to use
Such an
interface.
intuitive website, yes.
Lovely, absolutely brilliant. That was the Swords to Plowshares on a Goblin. That was a fetch land, so we'll get some life totals fixed up here. Hopefully the players get their life totals fixed up here, because Graham's on 21, not 20, but we'll see how we go along that path there.
You may be planning to crack that fetch, or there may be a dice off screen that we can't see. Hard to
Very
do a 21
possible.
on a d20.
Very possible.
Whack.
Alright, Lackey coming in. What is that?
That is a containment priest, I believe.
Oh. And a munitions
Ah.
expert coming down.
Graham on the stack. Resolves. Fetch. Nug. Is this Lackey good? What is that?
That's a conspicuous snoop.
Oh, this is the little future sight for goblins guy.
Yeah, that's a good way to describe it. So another flurry of actions happening there. There was the containment priest came down, munitions expert came in and shot the containment priest down, and then
There's a goblin
Snoop.
lackey on top now. The Snoop's in play. He is a goblin lackey, or is it activated abilities only? It's
Activated abilities only. I mean, if the Goblin Lackey had an activated ability, say, if Graham cast Flame Fusillade...
Oh no.
Right.
You've been killing in Vintage a long time ago, haven't you, Jimbo?
Now, granted, that would give the Snoop the ability as well, but, here we are. Here.
That'd be a bit silly.
7 Point Scoop having a discussion with themselves in chat. Shout outs to Paul and Liz. Paul without the ability to type today. He had some laser eyes installed recently.
Laser eyes?
Yeah, he's got the goggles on. I saw him this morning with the goggles. I assume they serve some sort of Cyclops purpose, where if he takes them off, he shoots laser beams.
The sun comes out of his eyes.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know why you'd really install laser eyes if you wanted to see, which is fairly valuable in a Magic player's life.
Yeah, I mean...
How long until cards with Braille, Jimbo? What do you think?
I mean, there has been stories of... there was a Pro Tour with some Braille... there was a player that's hard of sight, and he was drafting at the Pro Tour.
Wow.
And basically, the way that worked was, people helped him with the draft process, running from the table to the player, saying, these are the picks, which ones you want. And then the player built his deck... And he had sleeves stamped 1 to 40 in Braille. And then he could check his chart here that said, alright, card number 3 is Grizzly Bear. Card number 4 is this.
Was the card actually Grizzly Bear?
I'm not certain. That's just my example here. Card number 5 was Goblin Lackey.
Yes, back to the coverage.
Yeah.
Jace has tried to go into play again. And then some boys getting all up in it.
Yeah, so we can see a Tiger there from... Graham, there is some
a
amount
tiger.
of green.
This may be for sideboard cards. Would you play Veil of Summer? Maybe?
Maybe. I mean, you've got Cavern of Souls already.
That's true.
I would be considering something like Choke, perhaps.
Oh, I'd love
Choke,
to see
Sylvan
Choke.
Library, although, Goblins doesn't need the card advantage.
I've choked Jiggens on many an occasion. I confirm it feels as good as you think it does.
What else could there be for green? The old one would be Tin Street Hooligan, but I'm not certain if that's still
I think they have better
up
answers
to date.
now for artifacts.
Food Chain is a green card.
Food
It
Chain
could
is a green
still
card.
be.
We haven't seen it yet. I don't know if Goblins can afford to be 3 colours. Food Chain doesn't get cast that well off a Cavern of Souls. It
I
doesn't
guess the counterpoint is we haven't seen Wasteland or Rashardan Port.
That is an interesting proposition, actually.
And without Wasteland and Rashardan Port, the ability to splash a 3rd colour is significantly easier.
Here's Ponder, which means we'll go Cantrippin. I think I saw a Force of Will.
I think I saw 2 of them.
Well, they scale well in multiples, I suppose. If you don't want to, you pitch the first to the second.
That might be
Is that
3.
back to basics?
Okay, back to basics. Okay, alright.
It may be 3 forces, which Jiggens did do a lot of thinking about.
Look, Force of Will, it's a really weird card against Goblins. They've got these high pressure threats like Goblin Lackey that you really need a Force for on the first turn.
Yes,
But-
absolutely. But if you draw it on the 18th turn,
That's exactly it.
they've either got the Goblins or they don't at that stage.
If your opponent's casting, tap Cavern of Souls, cast Goblin Ringleader, jeez.
You don't feel great about your life.
You're sitting there with a Force of Will, your opponent draws 2.5 Goblins, and you just cry.
Yep.
Looks like that Ponder was a shuffle. That second mismatch artwork Ponder also a shuffle here.
Oh, you're right. I am on tilt. Now, of course, Ponder comes in old border, Jimbo. Have you seen
Does
them?
it? Oh,
Live in the wild.
yeah. I haven't seen them in person. I haven't left my house much as of late, but old
happens.
border staples. Which other ones are we likely to see today? There's the
It
the
won't
old
be
Tunks
Life from the
one.
Loam, I can tell you that much.
No
I
old
was
border
sure
Loam?
it was going to be in.
Yeah.
What else is coming old border? Containment Priest is an old border now. Majuka Bog's in old border. Has the most
Really?
amount
That's
of
a
ink
cool
I've
one.
ever seen in a card. So dark.
Have you seen cards from Dark Visions?
Visions is quite dark, isn't it?
Yeah, but
Good old
then-
Vamp Tutor.
There's a misprint set of it where they were darker than that.
Oh my.
Yeah,
That was already dark.
It was wild.
Maybe ink was cheap at the time. And they just thought, stuff it.
Yeah, I was just
More ink
loaded
per
up,
card,
you
why
know.
not? Here's a Swords.
Sword Splash is. What are you removing here? I mean,
Conspicuous Snoop, apparently.
That
Jiggens-
makes sense.
It is a source of card advantage for a deck that desperately needs one.
okay, so my question here is, what is that card?
It should be face down, whatever it is.
Not that one, but the other one.
Oh, that's a food chain. That is the Judge
That's a
food
food
chain, I
chain?
believe.
All
We're
right.
going live.
Alright, we've got Food Chain on the screen.
Gorgeous food chain, actually. I'm an OG printing guy, but that is a very pretty food chain.
Well,
Not that one. This
Judge?
one. I think it's a Judge one.
yeah, that looks about right.
It's a big thing.
Yeah, you can
going
see a
after
thing
little
pouncing on a thing.
Yeah. It's a chain of food.
Okay, you are right that the top card should be not revealed. Perhaps it was revealed before the removal spell and they've just left it there for simplicity.
It may be to help us, Jimbo.
Very
Albeit
true.
a bit of glare on it, so I don't know how helpful that can actually be.
It's a Goblin Lackey.
Oh, it's a Goblin Lucky.
Which is not the card that Graham wants on top of the deck right now.
It's not the greatest. He does have to draw through it somehow. But
yeah, that's exactly right.
Jiggens is starting to cantrip a lot of times per turn. We've got a Mystic Sanctuary in play now. That's good for another one.
That's all of these decks do. They just sort of cast cantrips until people get bored and go home.
That's right. About one win con per deck usually. Maybe one more in the sideboard.
I mean, how many euros do you need?
Oh, that's a win con too. That card really does do everything.
It's a gift that keeps on giving. It's a 6/6.
It's a 6/6 for 3.
For 3?
It was pointed out to me recently. I was going to counter it with a Torpor Orb.
Ooh,
And that doesn't work as well as you think.
Yeah,
that just makes them have a 3 mana 6/6.
Ah, man, Torpor Orb's a great card. Is that another Terminus?
I see a Terminus there.
Ooh.
Hoping to get rid of 2 goblins. We know there's a Lackey on top. Jiggens needs to find a way to get that Terminus on the top of the deck at the right point in time, and this really depends on what Graham wants to commit to.
It might be on the top right now. That wouldn't surprise me at all. And maybe not.
That's a fetch.
I'm just wrong. Okay, could this
so this
be?
may be a fetch Brainstorm Prey.
Look, we did see a lot of not goblins on the top of the deck when that Snoop was in play. There was at least 2 bad lands.
That is a bad land.
I love bad lands.
I
It's
love
such a good card.
lands, yeah. Really skyrocketed in value as of a few years ago when we discovered there was a black-red reanimator deck this entire time that we didn't know about. There
Is this just the old full retail?
Oh,
What's this number in the top right here?
Wrath of God.
Do we see double white? That's going
I
to be
think
the.
there's 2 Tundras. I want to say there's 2 Tundras.
Alright, there we go. 2 Tundras there.
That spell resolves.
Put all the goblins back in the deck. I tell you what, goblins versus miracles. I don't know what it's like these days, but when I first started playing Legacy, my deck was goblins.
As it should be.
And the miracles decks at the time cried.
Yes.
They could not
We had
beat
Ether
a
Vials
goblin.
back then.
Aether Vial, Wasteland Port, Cavern of Souls,
Juicy.
and Miracles players just could not beat a Goblin player to save themselves. You know, some of them were playing something like a Humility.
Wow.
Looks like there might be
That's
some
pretty
sort
deep.
of question here on. Looks
So
like
I
just
think-
wondering if he'd drawn from Ponder. Looks like he has now.
Graham trying to recoup some card advantage here after putting all the boys back in the deck. That is a... Oh, he makes goblins uncounterable.
He
Vexing
makes
Shusha.
spells uncounterable.
Oh, it's target spell.
I didn't actually know that Vexing Shusha was a Goblin.
It helps.
So Ringleader, revealing Ringleader, and Vexing Shusha.
That's a Squee the Eternal, I believe.
Yeah, that's pretty good with Food Chain.
Hey, that's infinite mana, isn't it?
We'll
Must
put
be
back
nice.
into the booth here as the players may, revisit their sideboarding and see what happens for game 3. That was
Good to see. 1-1, more coverage.
yeah, more Magic to be played. What did we see out of the sideboard? So the Vexing Shusha very much out of the sideboard
Would
for
assume
Graham.
it's a sideboard card, yes. And a good one in this case. It's still a 2-mana 2/2 that is a goblin.
Maybe the Food Chains came in out of the sideboard.
Oh, that'd be some spice.
I'm joking, but I mean, can you imagine?
Yeah, that'd be some spice.
We didn't see much in the way of sideboard cards out of Jiggens, unless, I guess maybe the 4th Swords to Plowshares,
Maybe
something like that.
he may have Path to Exiles in the sideboard in case you
Sure.
just want more removal. We
Yeah.
could see...
Path it's another one of those dynamic cards where against a deck like Rug Delver, it's just the best removal spell in the world.
Better than
You
Swords.
just kill it, get it out of there, 0 downside. But against goblins, you're actually giving them a land, and that's a reasonable downside here.
Yeah, but using the
So-
card as intended. Although, it does give them a shuffle for their brainstorms. You do need to be careful.
Very true. I mean, not the goblins players, but
No.
the Delver players. Sure.
Yeah, the Path to Exile on the Delver player.
Although I have played against goblins with Brainstorm before.
Goblins with Brainstorm.
Yeah, Gene Holland.
How do you beat that? It's all the best cards in the format, Jimbo.
Brainstorm, put them back, tap Vial, Ringleader. I know what the top 2 are, they're pretty good.
Yeah, okay, seems neat. Okay. You know when to fire off your ringleaders as opposed
Yeah.
to fire them off all the time anyway?
Yeah, as well as just, having access to general blue cards. We'll head back down to the table, actually. We've missed a turn already. That was a very fast... I guess they didn't need a re-sideboard, did they?
Not too often, not bluffing. That is a
Skirk Prospector.
Oh, there's a new border Skirk processor.
Yeah, unfortunately, it was in one of the sort of standardy sets.
This is Ancient Tomb, Goblin Matron. We're getting off early.
Oh, okay. And Matron also has new border now as well, I believe.
Is it modern legal?
I think it was in Modern Horizons.
That would make it modern legal.
I think. Yeah, we got there. All right.
Actually, that's Vintage Masters, I think, isn't it?
Nah, that's Modern Horizons.
No, never mind. Okay.
Modern Horizons 2 coming out soon as well, by the way.
I wonder how many cards we banned from that set.
I'm keen for Ren and 7.
Ren and 7?
Yeah.
Because 6 wasn't enough. I'm glad to see the back of that card. I did try it in lands. Wasn't that great.
Sword Splashes coming down, getting that Skirk Prospector off the table. It's a very...
1 mana answer, 1 mana goblin.
Skirk Prospector, it flies under the radar a bit. It's a very powerful tool. You wouldn't think it, because it just sacrifices a goblin to make a mana. But
no other goblins do that.
and it gives you... I mean, you know, let's imagine a world where you have a food chain in play and a Squee the Immortal.
As you do.
Yeah, as you do. You've got infinite mana, but you can only spend it on creatures.
Oh. You need a way to filter this mana.
Oh, that
is a back to basics.
It's a gross play here. That's taking out a Tundra. You've got to assume that Jiggens here is getting a second basic. There we go, a Forest.
Okay. Well, he doesn't have Astrolabe to help him this time. He is playing Snow Basics, though.
Yeah.
I expect it because he just hasn't changed them out for better basics. Or he's bluffing... Coiling... No, what's...
Icefang Coatl.
Coatl.
On Thin Ice. Does that see any play?
On Thin Ice?
It's like a single white enchant a snowland. You remove their guy until your snowland
it's like
leaves.
A Chain to the Rocks effect.
Yeah, something like that.
Sounds neat. So, Goblin Pile Driver, protection from the best colour in Magic. However, Graham has now been pre-wastelanded, I suppose you'd call it. An Ancient Tomb is not going to tap for quite a while.
Yeah, look, this back to basics may end up hurting Jiggens just as much as it hurts Graham here. You know, they've both currently lost one land.
I guess you take that deal as miracles because you don't have anything else better to do on 3.
I guess the other point is, you know, a single Terminus just resets this board.
That's right.
Right now, Graham's looking at an attack for 4, which is, you know, it's pretty good. It's some pressure.
Is it strange to say that I'm glad Terminus is back? That is a Sylvan Library. The new one.
There's a new Sylvan Library?
Yeah, I think it was Commander Edition Green, something to that effect.
I'm glad the chat couldn't just see, like, the blank look on my face there as I just...
We could hear it, Jim.
sat there stunned with no idea what on earth this 2-mana green card that Jiggens has played was.
It's neat art. I
And
kind of
then
like that.
We see Uro coming down. What a shock. Jiggens going back up to 15. Land for turn, land off the Uro.
Doing double duty here, or getting you some life and ramping you, quite important for a control deck.
Now see, there's the other part of it, you know, the
Whack!
The back to basics is you know, symmetrical, but then Goblin Lackey comes down.
Oof, Goblin Lucky is not symmetrical.
That
That is a Kiki Jiki.
Yeah, Ringleader revealing Munitions Expert Kiki Jiki and some garbage.
I want to say that Pile Driver had to just attack for about 8. 7 plus
Pile
2,
Driver itself
5?
was for 5, and the
Plus 2 more.
other 2 dudes for 1 each.
Jiggens can't be on 2 higher life total.
Yeah, 8 life here for Jig.
8. Well, it may be Terminus or bust.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly it, though. That's, you know, it looks like all hope is lost, but as soon as Jiggens manages to find a Terminus...
Well, here's a shuffle, so this may be a shuffle brainstorm.
If a Terminus comes up, then that's...
In the top 3, that's probably good enough. Actually, does he have a white source? Is that a Plains?
That is a Plains.
That is a
yeah.
Plains.
There's one of each basic there, and a second island. Is there a Terminus in the graveyard here?
Mystic Sanctuary doesn't have enough islands, though. No, it's 3 other islands, right? And that Tundra is in play.
Yes, you're correct.
Okay. So, so there's a lot of Terminuses. Places can be Terminus. English.
Is there a Terminus in the yard?
In the yard or the top 3, I think might do it. But that's that's treading water. That's trying to stay alive. That's swords he's putting back.
Okay, so that's not Terminus.
Well, that does kill the Pile Driver.
Yeah, the Pile Driver is pretty key here.
And your beatdowns are a little more anemic. That's a Force, Terminus...
And the Sword Splashes.
And the swords. Well, there's Terminus.
Yeah, we found the Terminus.
Now, does Jiggens have a way to draw on his opponent's turn? Because this is now his turn. He's already drawn a card.
So Jiggens on 8 life. If for some reason the pile driver was to leave the table, there's 4 damage on the other side of the table straight away.
That's a 2-turn clock.
There's a munitions expert that can come down in the end step, which makes it for
He does
6
have
damage.
correct. Assuming that Arid Mesa has a bad land, so yes, that'll be fine.
Is that paying 4 life?
He's paying
Say
life.
it ain't so.
Well, I guess if you're dead to 1 round of attacks, you're dead to 2.
Looks like
There's swords.
this is
Okay.
just going to be casting the Titan.
Well,
of
she does
Nature's
block.
Wrath.
Gain another 3 life, put another land in, grindy.
Okay.
Graham placing those lands ominously close together. I don't know if this is desperation or happiness.
No munitions expert coming down there.
True. I assume he doesn't have a basic swamp either, so those Arid Mesas are lotus petals.
Yeah, 1-trick ponies.
Ooh,
that's
that's-
a replacement pile driver.
Which does not have haste.
Doesn't
at the
have
moment,
haste,
I believe.
but it does have protection from Uro.
It does.
So
And
it does
Jiggens
have
has to be dead to that.
the
Almost
ability to attack through it. So you can take another look at the top 3. That looks like another Sword Splash. It's either that or a Mentor. But I don't think Mentor is... it's not 2017 anymore.
There's Narset. That's a lot of mana to be spending on something. And I guess this lets him impulse.
Very true. Maybe,
Now
I mean,
he should know
clearing
a
the
card
top
or
is
two
nice.
from the Sylvan Library. So.
Brainstorm there is the reveal.
Okay. Now Narset puts cards on the bottom in a random order. This may be the Brainstorm knock the top of your deck in a few times.
There is still the Sword Splashes, which definitely blunts a turn of attacks. You could even get in with the Uro here, honestly.
Would gain 3 life.
Gaining
There's
3
swords
life.
again.
You'd take 4 on the crackback. I think that's defensible here.
Yeah, he's attacking. Graham doesn't need to block, but Jiggens is happy to gain 3 life.
Gain 3 life, draw a card. Keep
Put
the
a land
mana
in.
flowing.
This back to basics is pinching him a little now with 2 lands over there. Whack.
Graham
Across the waist.
still not committing the munitions expert. Perhaps looking to get more goblins in play.
Oh,
And
speaking
that
of goblins.
is a big goblin.
That gets some
is
goblins in play, does it? What? Ooh, not the best run though. I think that's only 2 goblins.
The most grand goblin of all. That is a goblin war chief and a conspicuous snoop. Now, war chief, great hit off Muxus before
Yes.
combat.
Pre-combat, very important. Another Muxus on top.
Okay, so
if Jiggens can stop it this turn, can he stop it the next?
and Graham saying, "No, I don't want to draw another Muxus. We're going to shuffle.
They are legendary.
Going to see if we can find, say, a Kikijiki on top here. That would be some amount of kill you.
Yes, that would be a lot.
Oh no! Now we can just munitions expert. Peel down the
Shoot
Uro.
the guy, get it out of the way.
I'm not certain whether that's good.
I guess it's a goblin, right? It has power, it can attack.
Sure. My problem here is now Jiggens can recast the Uro.
It does let him cast it again.
Basically, what it does is let Jiggens get the Uro trigger and have the untapped Uro, rather than having to choose between the two.
That's true, you can play both sides.
Or doing it in the end step, perhaps.
Unless Graham thinks he has a kill here. Now, we haven't seen the War Chief hit play. No, we have seen the War Chief, pardon me. There's the Brainstorm.
The Sanctuary going down. So did Jiggens have access to a Terminus here?
Those 2 cards went on top in a very specific order.
Yeah, you've got to imagine that there's a Terminus
It
coming
would
off the
need
top
to be.
here.
There you are, Jack Jiggens,
Oh
ladies
boy,
and gentlemen.
and the
Casual
game-
7 for 1.
The game continues.
Does-
That's a Chieftain on the top. Goblin Chieftain on the top of the
Goblin
library.
Chieftain.
Cool duder. Is castable here if Graham fetches a mountain afterwards.
Oh,
Looks
Graham
like they're
is
just
worried about a Sylvan Library trigger.
Yeah,
Always
just-
confusing with the Terminus. Okay, we're resolving the Terminus.
Alright, put all of these on the bottom of the deck.
We keep playing.
Now the good news is, if you're a fan of the little red fellas, Arid Mesa can shuffle up all of those goblins.
That's true. Enrich the deck with goblins.
That was always the key in this matchup, this goblins versus miracles, was that, you know, you can bury all the goblins, and then I'm just going to matron up that ringleader, and we're going to ringlead them
Start
all
again.
back in, baby.
Haste, crack for 2.
That's it.
All this said, Jiggens is at 4, we believe. Maybe three, actually.
3.
Graham's life total doesn't matter a whole bunch.
Yeah, I mean, Graham was, he's put himself down to 18 in the Ancient Tomb, had a couple of Swords to Plowshares. But you're entirely right. The Graham's life total is, for the most part, completely irrelevant.
He's going to die in chunks of 6, I think.
Yeah. If Graham's life total is under duress here, then, Graham doesn't have any avenue of continuing the game anyway.
No, I'd expect to see him scoop at about 18 points of life. And Jiggens is starting to assemble some troublesome permanents here.
Yeah, that's right. And there was a Path to Exile revealed there off the Narset.
He did show it with much gusto, Graham.
Mm-hmm.
Still got all these.
And this is what I was talking about in between
There's
rounds
Pereira.
with, if you're playing this deck, you need to take your game actions quickly. You can't sit on your laurels and just, plod through your turn. You've got to be...
You do. You need to be thinking, if I ponder, what am I looking to hit?
Exactly
what
right.
would I shuffle?
And you could see that in the good Miracles pilots, even in Sensei's Divining Top days, you could see...
They just know.
they
just know.
I mean, when your deck is built out of 16 cantrips and 5 card advantage planeswalkers, it's very redundant.
You too tend to know the top of your deck.
That's exactly it. Popping back into the booth here for a moment.
That is the end. It looks like Jiggens did in fact get
Yeah.
there. Poor Graham, it must be said. So close.
It's very close. I mean, 2-1 to Jiggens. The Goblins put up the best fight it could, but just Uro... when you get to cast and activate Uro that many turns...
Eventually, you don't have enough goblins.
You can keep up for a while, but eventually Uro is going to get the better of you. Alright, well that's it for round 1. We will be back real shortly with round 2. I don't think there's any time in between rounds for an interview.
I would expect that round quite long.
Yeah, I mean, Miracles tends to do that.
It does.
As we said, it just doesn't win quick. That's the thing with it. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back really soon with round 2. More Legacy coming just right up. Cheers.